Hi guys, Robo46 here, welcome yourselves back to MotoGP 20. Today we're going to be talking about the racing at the weekend, so if you've yet to see it, I would suggest clicking away from this video right now and come back when you have watched the racing, because we're going to be going through spoilers in this video. And I am briefly going to talk about BSB and WSB as well, so again, if you haven't seen British Superbikes or World Superbikes, then I would suggest clicking away now. So, it all kicked off this weekend. It was, even before Friday, we had a bit of news. Valentino Rossi had tested positive for the virus, so he's had to now self-isolate for 2 weeks, which means that he missed the race at Aragon, and he will also miss the second race at Aragon, which will be this coming weekend. Yamaha are not going to find a standing rider. They are not going to replace Rossi with Lorenzo for the second Aragon race, which I can kind of see two halves here, but apparently when Lorenzo tested at Portimao, for some reason Yamaha gave him the 29 spec Yamaha M1, which was a bit bizarre. Why would you get your test rider to test last year's bike rather than trying to improve not only this year's bike but next year's as well? It seems a bit odd. And apparently Lorenzo wasn't that quick in the test as well, so maybe Yamaha don't want to put him in it just to be at the back. So that was that. Tony Arbolino in Moto 3. He sat next to someone on a plane who tested positive for the virus as well. So as a precaution, Arbolino has had to self-isolate as well. And that's again for 2 weeks, which means that he missed this the first Aragon race, and he also missed the second Aragon race. So it was a bit unlucky for Arbolino, but he was kind of coming back into the title fight, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to fight for it now. He's going to miss 2 races, so that is that. Let's talk about Superbikes then. So British Superbikes, again, like I said, another warning: if you've not seen the racing, don't continue this video. British Superbikes wrapped up in fine fashion at Brands Hatch, the GP circuit. And it was Josh Brooks who took the crown, his second British Superbike title. His first one was in 2015, and he's taken his second title in British Superbike. So congratulations to him, with some cracking racing on both the Saturday and the Sunday. They've already put out the calendar for next year. As it stands at the moment, it's going to be 11 events, but all of them are going to be 3 races per event. So we're looking at potentially 33 races in British Superbikes next year, which bodes very, very well. And that's going to be a hell of a lot of racing. World Superbikes. Jonathan Rea, he wrapped up his 6th consecutive title with Kawasaki at the weekend. He didn't actually get on the podium at all during the weekend. The only time he got on the podium was to collect his championship trophy. But yeah, he rode it smart and done what he needed to do. But yeah, he did actually crash out of the 3rd race. He did remount and score a couple of points. And it was a bit iffy for Kawasaki, because Ducati, as they were standing, with Chaz Davis leading, he was going to get 25 points, and the next Kawasaki at one point was Jonathan Rea, then he went down, and then it was Alex Lowe's, and then he went down, and it all came down to Forres, who managed to take home a few points, just enough to clinch the manufacturer's title for Kawasaki. So that was World Superbikes. That is done for the season as well. Be interesting to see where Chaz Davis goes next year, because he's yet to find a ride. He won the final race of the season, so he managed to bow out of Ducati in fine fashion. But hopefully he will find a ride for next season. Right then, let's go over to Grand Prix racing. Like I said, it's the first of 2 races at Aragon. The next Aragon race will be this coming weekend, and then we got 2 races at Valencia, and then 1 race at Portimao at the end. So Moto 3, it was a little bit hectic, as Moto 3 always is. But a couple of riders, John McPhee and Alonso Lopez, had a a long lap penalty, which was given to them for basically dawdling during qualifying. So they were given the long lap penalty. They were pretty much given it, well, they were given it on their dashboard on lap 1. And then obviously they had a few laps to do it. John McPhee knew, obviously, that they knew that they were going to get the long lap penalty in the race anyway. So John McPhee smartly was testing out the long lap penalty during morning warm-up and doing a few laps through it, just to see how fast he could go through. So yeah, that was definitely a smart decision to do that. So yeah, like I said, Moto 3 was a very, very hectic race, as Moto 3 always is. Gabriel Rodrigo did not finish the first lap. He crashed out of the first lap, so no completed laps for Rodrigo, even though he was looking pretty good all weekend. He was getting up to a decent speed and that, but yeah, he crashed out on the first lap. It was a big fight between quite a few riders. You had a few riders starting quite far down. I mean, McPhee and Darren Binder started on the same row, and they were quite far down during qualifying. They didn't qualify particularly well, but Binder got into the front group quite early on. McPhee, like I said, he took his long lap penalty, and he managed to do it in 2.8 seconds. I think they said they'd done it. So he didn't lose a full 3 seconds. It was obviously close, but yeah, he managed to do it in 2.8 seconds. And he rejoined in, I think it was about 17th position. So he was outside the points, but he done a good job fighting back his way back through the pack. Pole position man Raul Fernandez was fighting at the front and pretty much led most of the race. He led the most laps. And at one point it was looking like it was going to be, a KTM/Husqvarna getaway, because you had Fernandez leading, you had Albert Arenas in there, you had Darren Binder in there, you also had Romano Fenati on the Husqvarna. So the KTMs were looking very, very strong, and it was Joan Masia who managed to kind of put the fly in the ointment with a Honda. Tatsuki Suzuki managed to join the front group as well, and at one point it looked like the front group was just starting to pull away from everyone, especially after McPhee and Alonso Lopez took their long lap penalties. And yeah, it looked like it was going to be a 6-way dice for the lead, but it didn't turn out to be that, because we had the chasing group, the second group, which eventually had McPhee at the head of it, start to close him down when the front group started fighting, and they were fighting pretty hard, putting moves in almost every corner. Obviously that's slowing the group down. Fernandez tried making a breakaway a couple of times, but it didn't work out for him. Just when he started to get a little bit of a lead, about 0.3 of a second, the guys behind changed positions and managed to chase him back down. Darren Binder done a very good job at closing him back down as well and leading briefly. You had Albert Arenas, who was playing it as a smart race as he usually does, positioning himself in a good way so that when they got onto the long back straight, obviously you don't really want to lead onto the back straight, because you're just going to get slipstream. So he was keeping himself in about third, fourth, sometimes second, just to keep his nose dry and see what he was going to be able to do and how much that he would need to risk. problems continue for Ayogura, who is, as we know, second in the championship. Last couple of races have been pretty bad for Ogura, and Aragon did not go any different. He started way down, and it took him quite a while to actually get in the points. He was, I don't know, I think they changed his engine a few rounds ago, and ever since then he's just not been competitive. So that title is definitely slipping away from Ayogura at the moment. Even when his main championship rivals McPhee and Albert Arenas went out a couple of rounds ago, Ogura still couldn't capitalise on that. He only scored a few points in that race. So yeah, it's not looking good for Ogura. He really needs to find something in the next race and all remaining races really. But we shall see. But yeah, it wasn't going well for him. Alonso Lopez, after doing his long lap penalty, he did actually come back out just in front of McPhee, but then started going backwards a bit and never really managed to get back inside the points. So a bit disappointing for Lopez, who was looking like he was definitely going to be a point scorer this time out. Messia's Leopard Honda is very, very quick. We know that the Leopards have always been a quick motorcycle in a straight line. They just managed to get the best out of that Honda engine, and towards the end of the race, when Messia went into the lead, they couldn't slipstream and get past him on the back straight, which was really bizarre to see, because usually in Moto 3 you see quite a lot of people, slipstreaming down the back straight, and you'll see them all fanning out, but they just couldn't get with Messia enough to be able to outbrake him into the penultimate corner. So Messia, he rode it really well, and it was Messia who went on to win the race. It was really, really tight through the last couple of corners. You had McPhee in the leading group by then. He had actually been shuffled to the back of the group. You had Albert Arenas, who was trying to take a tighter line through the penultimate and final corner to make up a couple of places, as a couple of riders were wide. But it didn't actually work out well for him this time. But yeah, Joan Messia, he managed to take the win. Like I said, no one could slipstream him and get past down that back straight. They tried for the last couple of corners, and Darren Binder came closest by claiming that second position, less than a tenth behind Messia. And Raul Fernandez does get a podium now. He manages to convert his pole position into a podium. So good for Fernandez for getting that podium position in third position. There was a couple of questions being asked about the FIM steward, because a couple of the riders did in fact go on the green on the final lap. And as we know in the past, if you go on the green and deemed to be gaining an advantage, then the stewards would put you back a position come the end. Messia was one of those people who went on the green in the final lap. But yeah, no action was taken, so the results are as they stand. Fourth place went to Romano Fenati on the Husqvarna, so a good result for him. John McPhee, he managed to sneak a fifth place, so a very good recovery from McPhee, who started not too far up on the grid and also had that long lap penalty as well. He was 17th at one point and managed to fight his way up to 5th, so good running from him. Jeremy Alcoba took 6th position, and Arenas, who, it was looking like he was going to get 4th, maybe even a podium, taking that tighter line for the last couple of corners. Didn't work out well for him. He got out-dragged to the line, and he finished in 7th position. So the top 7 were all separated by 0.3 of a second, so very, very close between them. Tatsuki Suzuki came home in 8th place ahead of Vietti in 9th. A bit disappointing for Vietti, who qualified well, but he decided to go for the harder rear tyre like he did at Le Mans, hoping that he was going to come into its own towards the end of the race. A few of the other riders decided to do the same, but it wasn't to be this time. It was the wrong tyre choice, and Vietti ended up in 9th place. Dennis Foggia came home in 10th, then you had Toba in 11th, Carlos Tate in 12th, Sasaki 13th, Oyagura only picked up a couple of points in 14th, and Dennis Onshu took the final point in 15th. And then the rest of the field, we had Philip Salach, who finished in 16th. Alonso Lopez, after taking that long lap penalty, finished in 17th. Antonelli was 18th, Sergio Garcia 19th, Yuki Kuni 20th, Riccardo Rossi 21st, Du Pasquale in 22nd, Stefano Nepa in 23rd, Yamanaka 24th, Bautas in 25th, Pizzoli 26th, and Powie in 27th. We had a couple of non-finishers. So I've already mentioned Rodrigo, who crashed on the first lap. Andrea Migno, he also crashed out, and Koffler also crashed out as well. Koffler crashed out with 2 laps to go, and after 2 laps. No, it was with 2 laps to go. So it wasn't too bad with crashes. I mean, only 3 people DNF'd in Moto 3. But that was the race, and the championship now. Albert Arenas extends his lead over Agura now. That lead is now 13 points. Vietti is still in 3rd. He's 18 points behind. Then you've got Tony Arbolino, who isn't there and won't be there at the next race. He's still 4th, 29 points behind. John McPhee is still 5th, 35 points behind, just 1 point ahead of Messia now, who is 6th. 36 points behind. Then you've got Fernandez, who's moved up 2 positions to 7th, 55 points behind. Suzuki is 8th, 61 behind, and Darren Binder has moved up into the top 9, 62 points behind. So that was Moto 3. On to Moto 2, which boy oh boy, this championship is, well, it has been blown wide open now. So from the get-go, Sam Lowes was trying to show what he could do. He didn't get the best of starts, did Sam? He doesn't seem to get good starts in Moto 2 at the moment. He has been working on them. He didn't get the best of starts. He got passed by a few people. Jake Dixon got a great start. Bezzecchi got a really good start, and Jorge Martin didn't get a too bad a start either. But it was also the speed up of Fabio Di Giannantonio got a great start as well. And it was Bezzecchi who pretty much got the whole shot straight away, and was trying to kind of break away as soon as possible. You had Di Giannantonio fighting with Sam Lowes for 2nd position, and they needed to settle down to try and catch the leader. And Bezzecchi was getting away from him, and Sam was making a few little mistakes on the first couple of laps, just trying to settle himself into a rhythm. Jake Dixon was with him for quite a while as well, so good to see the 2 Brits up the sharp end. You have Bastianini trying to... He was a few positions back from the leading group, but he was trying to fight with Jorge Martin and get forward towards the leading group. Luca Marini, we know he had that massive crash at Le Mans last weekend. He was looking a hell of a lot better this weekend, and he was looking like he was going to be able to fight for some decent points this race. You had Lowes and Digi. They started working together. Digi got into 2nd position, demoting Lowes. Lowes dropped back a little bit, and then Di Giannantonio started to close in on Bezzecchi. And as soon as that happened, Lowes kind of sped up a little bit, caught up with the front 2. Digi and Bezzecchi started fighting a bit, which obviously slowed them down as well, which helped Sam catch back up. And then Digi took the lead, and into turn 2, he was a little bit wide, and the front end of the speed up chassis just went without warning. And unfortunately for him, he crashed out of the lead, which then promoted Bezzecchi back into the lead, and Sam Lowes up to second position. Trying to catch these guys was Bastianini and Jorge Martin. They were fighting. They did eventually get the better of Jake Dixon as well, and shuffled Dixon back a couple of places, as Dixon was with the leading group for a few laps, and then he kind of dropped back a bit and then got passed by Bastianini and Jorge Martin. You had a big crash for Jorge Navarro at the very start, actually. Coming out of turn 1, he clipped the back of Marcos Ramirez's bike, and he went down in a big, in the group, about mid-pack. But luckily, everyone managed to avoid him, which was very, very fortunate, because that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong. But luckily, Jorge Navarro did get away from that. Yeah, that was what happened to Navarro on lap 1. Joe Roberts was trying to go about his business in a good way. He's been going well all weekend. He found himself fighting with the likes of Hector Garzo and Nagashima. But yeah, it was drama for Luca Marini, who ended up crashing out through the chicane, which we will be coming up to any second now. He managed to get through the right-hander, but on the transition to the left, he lost the front, and down he went, and he was out of the race. The championship leader was out of the race, and that was just, yeah, not good for Marini. Obviously, he didn't score any points at Le Mans, obviously battered and bruised at Le Mans, and didn't score any points here at Aragon either. So that has really scarpered his chances at the moment. Bastianini, he started to get his way through Jorge Martin. And literally, with just a couple of laps to go, Marco Bezzecchi, who had built up a little bit of a lead over Sam Lowes, I think Lowes had decided to settle for second position. Bezzecchi just had a little bit extra. The gap was hovering around 0.4 of a second for, the last quarter of the race, and it just didn't seem like Sam was going to be able to catch him and get past him. But Sam just continued pressuring Bezzecchi, and then the mistake came from Bezzecchi. Like I said, he was leading. Identical crash to Fabio Di Gianantonio that he had earlier on in the race. Into turn 2, a bit offline, tipped it in, front just washed out straight away, and that was Marco Bezzecchi out of the race as well, and obviously he's fighting for the championship as well, and it was a DNF for him. And Sam Lowes went on to take victory, his second victory in a row for Lowes. Obviously he won at the previous round at Le Mans after Jake Dixon crashed out of the lead. And now he has won at Aragon after Bezzecchi's crashed out of the lead. So two very smart races from Sam Lowes. And let's not forget that Sam Lowes did not race at Qatar because he was injured. So he's already on the back foot coming into this championship anyway. And obviously had a few issues at Red Bull Ring where he took out a couple of riders and then was disqualified anyway. And then had to start from pit lane in the next race. So it's not been easy sailing, but it was a fantastic win for Sam Lowes. Once he saw Bezzecchi go down, he did back off just a little bit just to make sure he could bring it home and take that victory. The Beast, Bastianini, he did come home in second place. Let's not forget the Beast is also fighting for the championship as well. And Jorge Martin ended up in third position, so return for the podium for Jorge Martin. Jake Dixon got his personal best result of Moto 2. He took home a fourth position, so good to see Dixon improving. And as we've seen in the past, once they get into the next race, once he's got a whole race worth of data under his belt, we expect to see him a bit stronger at the second Aragon race. But yeah, good to see Jake take home fourth place. Remy Gardner, he came home in fifth. Marcos Ramirez was sixth. just ahead of Hector Garzo in 7th. Joe Roberts came home in 8th place ahead of Nagashima in 9th. Simone Corsi was 10th. Augusto Fernandez was 11th. Thomas Luthi, a bit quiet from him, down in 12th place. Edgar Pons in 13th. Stefano Manzi 14th. And Marcel Schrotter, again, another quiet race from him, down in 15th position. And then the rest of the finishers, but non-point scorers, was Xavi Vierge in 16th place. Lorenzo Dalla Porta in 17th. Bullaga in 18th. Sire in 19th. Lorenzo Baldassari ended up in 20th place after having to avoid Jorge Navarro on lap 1. Had to go off track to avoid Navarro's bike. He ended up in 20th place. Bo Ben Snyder was 21st. Isdai Hart was 22nd. Chandra 23rd. Cardelus 24th. Daniel in 25th. Kursky in 26th. And it classified Jorge Navarro as 27th place. So yeah, only 3 DNFs in Moto 2. Luca Marini, Digi Antonio and Marco Bezzecchi. Championship in Moto 2 though, like I said, it has been blown wide open. That second position for Bastianini has put him into the lead of the championship now, and that win from Sam Lowes has moved him into contention now. He was 22 points behind at the start of the weekend. He's now 2 points behind the Beast now. So Sam Lowes moves up 2 positions from 4th to 2nd place, 2 points behind. Luca Marini has dropped 2 positions from 1st to 3rd, but he's still only 5 points behind, so it's still all to play for. Marco Bezzecchi really could have done with that win today, but unfortunately with his crash out, he is now 25 points behind and he has dropped to 4th position in the standings. So he's a whole race win's worth of points behind in the standings. And then the rest of them in 5th place, you got Jorge Martin. He's 60 points behind. Nagashima in 6th, 76 points behind. Joe Roberts has moved up to 7th, 81 points behind. Remy Gardner has moved up to 8th, 83 points behind. And Thomas Luthi has dropped 2 positions from 7th to 9th. He's also 83 points behind, joint on points with Remy Gardner. So that was Moto 3. That was Moto 2. It's time to go on to MotoGP. And it was a great race, and we didn't know what was going to happen, who was likely to win. I had my money on Joan Mir because he'd looked pretty strong all weekend. The Ducatis have been pretty atrocious all weekend as well. We had Dovizioso throwing his gloves in his pit box when he got back after qualifying because Petrucci was following Dovi on track, and Petrucci managed to get through to Q2, knocking Dovizioso out of the top 2. So Dovi was not best pleased. So tempers are rising more and more in that factory Ducati camp at the moment. But yeah, we had a good race. We had a good start from Maverick Vinales. In fact, all 3 Yamahas, like I said, Rossi was not here. He won't be at the next race either. So only 3 Yamahas. All 3 of them got a good start, and they were 1, 2, 3 for a little bit. And then something weird started happening. The Yamahas, although they didn't actually seem too slow down the back straight, even the Suzukis couldn't actually get past the Yamahas. They didn't seem to have the advantage over the Yamahas that they usually do. So I think that was more down to the way that the Yamahas got out of the chicane onto the back straight. But yeah, the Yamahas could not hold their line through the last couple of corners. They were pretty much going wide every single lap. Quartararo tried getting towards the front as well. He tried to get into the lead, but yeah, Vinales led for a little bit, and then once the Yamahas started getting into that problem where the front end did not look that great for him, and they didn't look like they were handling like a Yamaha should, and then pretty much always going wide in the last couple of corners. They started getting caught by the Suzukis. The Suzukis started catching these guys, and they managed to put it up the inside of the Yamahas through the last couple of corners. It was really bizarre to see that the Yamahas could not hold their line, and it was weird to see the other manufacturers just hold a tighter line and just manage to sneak through and get past them. Alex Rins, he was the one who managed to get into the lead. The Vinales tried fighting with him for a little bit, but ended up not being able to fight with him too long. We had one DNF throughout the whole race, which was, again, quite bizarre to see. There wasn't actually that many crashes during the races this weekend, which was good to see. Pecco Bagnaia unfortunately crashed out of the race, and he was literally the only DNF in the race. But yeah, it was a bit of a fight between the Yamahas and then the Suzukis. Mir was trying to find a way through to fight with his teammate. And then we had Alex Marquez, who he didn't qualify great, but he didn't qualify, as bad as he has been. He looked amazing on that Repsol Honda. He didn't look like a rookie, just like at Le Mans. He didn't look like a rookie at all. And he looked really smooth on the Honda, and usually smooth riding styles don't tend to suit the Honda. But he managed to make his way through the pack, and his Honda was turning tighter than any of the other bikes on the grid, and that is really bizarre to see, because we know that a lot of the problems that Honda have are with the handling and the front end and the turning and that. But Alex Marquez just made it look easy. Literally, the amount of people he picked off through the last couple of corners was just amazing to see. And he managed to get into second position, and he was chasing down Rins. He was quicker than Rins. But again, the Honda didn't seem to have as the legs over the Suzuki that we've seen in the past, and he couldn't quite get past him down the back straight. He tried going up the inside of Rins, and with a few laps to go, he tried that move again, and the rear let go a little bit. He managed to save it, but that was a bit of a warning for Alex Marquez that maybe he's just pushing a little bit too much. But he rode a very sensible race. He didn't give up, but it just wasn't meant to be for his first race win. But I tell you what, he's definitely got the confidence now. The winning in dodgy conditions, or getting his podium in dodgy conditions like he did at Le Mans is one thing, but to do it in the dry and to look really good doing it, and always looked in control, was amazing to see. And with Mark not being there, are Honda finally listening to their other riders now and kind of adapting the bike to suit other riding styles other than balls to the wall aggression like Mark Marquez rides with, and also it makes you think. I said before this season even began, it was a bit harsh for Repsol Honda to dismiss Alex straight away before the season had even begun and sign Pol Espargaro for next season. I know that they're moving Alex Marquez to LCR. He will still be on a factory bike. But it makes Repsol Honda look a little bit stupid at the moment, because now they're getting rid of a rider who has got them 2 second places this season, when, all the other Hondas have been nowhere near. So, yeah, makes you start thinking, they definitely should have waited. I know that they maybe wouldn't have wanted to wait as late as it is now, with 5 races to go, or 4 races to go now, to sign someone. But you've got to give your rider a chance to prove what they can do before you actually sign someone else. You can't just because say Alex Marquez actually ended up winning the title this season, that would make Repsol Honda look even worse. So it just, I know, you know, if Alex Marquez is getting on with the Honda now, hopefully when he goes to LCR, he will still have the support that he needs and will still be able to, you know, do a good job on the Honda. I just hope that when Mark comes back, he doesn't start developing the Honda that no one else can ride, because as we can see, his brother can ride it now, and you know, maybe we didn't expect this from Alex Marquez so soon. Obviously in Moto 2 he was a very, very slow burner before he started winning races and then putting a championship together. But you know, 2 podiums, 2 second places on his rookie season, you know, that's not to be dismissed. That was a very, very good job, and obviously they're back here next weekend as well, so I expect him to maybe be even stronger next weekend. He's got all that data for him. I know everyone else does as well, but you know, being a rookie, that is really going to help. So yeah, Alex Rins managed to hold off Alex Marquez to take the victory for Suzuki. Alex Marquez came home in second position to take that second podium in succession, his second position, lots of seconds. Johan Mir completed the podium in third position, didn't quite have the pace that he needed to be able to go with Alex Marquez and Rins. He did start dropping back from them, but yeah, a good result for Suzuki. Both Suzukis on the podium, first and third. Maverick Vinales, he managed to come home in fourth position, top Yamaha. Nakagami, he continues his consistency of fifth position, and he got another fifth position. So Nakagami being very, very consistent. Franco Morbidelli, he ended up in sixth position. After a promising start, he dropped back a few places once you know, the Yamaha start having their problems. It wasn't as bad as his teammate though, but we'll get on to his teammate in a little bit. Andrea Dovizioso salvaged a little bit in seventh position, but not a great run for Ducatis at Aragon. They're going to need to bring something out of the bag for the next race, that's for sure. Cal Crutchlow, after a really good qualifying, he ended up down in 8th position, just ahead of his good friend Jack Miller, who came home in 9th. Johan Zarco was 10th, ahead of Brad Binder in 11th. So yeah, the KTM's not having a good time either. Paul Espargaro, it was 12th place, ahead of his brother Elisha Espargaro in 13th. Ika Lecuona was 14th, and Danilo Petrucci took home the final point in 15th place. Note, I've not mentioned Quartararo yet, and we still won't for another few positions. Miguel Oliveira came home in 16th place, ahead of Stefan Bradl in 17th. And what was the championship leader, Fabio Quartararo, took home 18th place. Fabio, once he started having front end issues, he just couldn't ride the way he wanted to, and he just dropped like an absolute stone. He dropped from, you know, potential podium to completely outside the points. He just got completely mugged. He got a little bit beaten up, and yeah, a DNF for the Frenchman down in 18th. Well, not DNF, but a non-point scorer for Fabio down in 18th place. Bradley Smith was 19th, and Tito Rabat was 20th. And like I said, only one DNF, one crash, and that's Francesco Bagnaia. So that was the race, and yeah, it was hard to see Quartararo dropping like an absolute stone. Literally, you know, once he started dropping, he had a massive queue of riders right behind him, and they were just, you know, picking him off one by one. I know Petrucci kind of forced him onto one of the outside curves, which lost Quartararo a bit of drive, and then lost about 2 or 3 positions. But yeah, Quartararo, it's not a good result. I'm hoping that he can sort something out for the race next weekend, because Quartararo was quick all weekend, despite having 2 massive crashes during free practice, both into the bus stop chicane. Massive crashes he had, very beaten up, but yeah, it seemed like the front end was the issue with that Yamaha. And to be honest, you know, the front end of all the Yamahas didn't look great. The amount of times they went wide at the penultimate corner and the final corner and not being able to hold the line. We don't often see Yamahas struggle with the front end. The championship, though, it has changed. Joan Mir, with that third position, now leads the championship. So, although my prediction for Mir getting the win was not right, he does now move to the championship lead. He is now 6 points ahead of Fabio Quartararo, who is now second. So, not a complete disaster for Quartararo, only 6 points behind, but you know, he's going to have to pull something out of the bag at the next round, which again is here at Aragon, if he wants to get back into the lead of the championship. Maverick Vinales actually moves up one position to third, 12 points behind, and Dovizioso, despite the fact it looked like a bit of a disaster for him, he's dropped down to fourth, but he's only 15 points behind. And Nakagami in 5th is 29 points behind. Then you got Morbidelli 6th, 34 points behind. Alex Rins has moved up 5 positions with that win to 7th. He's 36 points behind. Jack Miller 8th, he's 39 points behind. And Paul Espargaro is 9th, 44 points behind. So it's still all to play for. The top 4 separated by 15 points. And you know, yeah, Dovizioso has not had a good run of races, but anything can happen. And you know, this season it literally changes race by race. We may end up seeing Mir win the championship without actually winning a race. I mean, that is possible. But yeah, that is MotoGP. That is the race done for me on screen as well. So yeah, the next race will be this coming weekend. That will again be at Aragon. Again, we won't have Rossi for that race either, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens at the second race and seeing if we're going to get completely different results again, which, to be honest, we probably will. But anyway, guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to stay safe and to wash your hands. See you.